Most people go through their entire lives believing they know their own minds. But the truth is, they have almost never learned how to master their own minds. They wake up already carrying thoughts they never chose. One criticism changes their mood for the entire day. One fear is enough to make them walk away from an opportunity. One old memory continues to shape their behavior years later. Little by little, life stops being built through conscious choices and starts being driven by automatic impulses. It is like owning the most powerful tool in existence, but never receiving the instructions on how to use it. The mind is powerful enough to build an extraordinary life or quietly destroy your potential. The problem has never been its power. It has always been who is in control. There is a world of difference between having a mind and knowing how to lead it. Those who never take on that responsibility end up living at the mercy of their own fears, their emotions in the moment, and the stories they keep telling themselves. But those who learn to direct their own thoughts discover a kind of freedom that very few people ever experience. Because true freedom has never been about doing whatever you feel like doing. It is about choosing who you will become, even when your emotions are pulling you in another direction. That is exactly what Marcus Aurelius understood while ruling the greatest empire of his time. He could command legions, govern vast territories, and decide the fate of millions of people. Yet he knew that none of those achievements would mean anything if he could not govern what was happening inside his own mind. That is why he wrote to himself almost every night, not to persuade anyone else, but to remind himself who needed to stay in command whenever fear, anger, anxiety, or doubt appeared. He understood a truth that continues to change lives to this day. Those who master their own minds are rarely mastered by their circumstances. And this ability does not belong only to history's greatest leaders. It can be developed by you as well. It does not matter how many years you have spent reacting on autopilot. It does not matter how many times your own thoughts have defeated you. The brain learns. The mind can be trained. And every small victory over yourself makes the next one stronger. In this video, you will discover Stoic principles that can completely transform the relationship you have with your own mind. Not so that your mind will stop producing fear, doubt, or challenges, but so that none of them will ever again have the authority to determine the direction of your life. Before we begin, make a commitment to the person you have decided to become. Write this in the comments. My mind works for me. And because there comes a moment when life changes direction. And that moment does not happen when the world changes. It happens when you finally take control of the one thing that should always have belonged to you, your own mind. Let's begin. Number 1. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. The whole world today is designed to make you look sideways. Every screen you scroll through is a carefully curated display, where people show only their best angle, their best moment, their best version. You are not seeing other people's lives. You are seeing the movie poster, never the behind the scenes. And even the strongest mind can stumble when the game is set up this way, because no one ever told you that comparison was designed for you to lose. Pay attention to what this trap does to you. A minute ago, your life felt good. You were doing fine. Then you looked at someone else's path, and without even noticing, you stepped off your own. Nothing in your life got worse in that second. You still have the same achievements, the same story, the same worth you had before. The only thing that changed was where you chose to focus your eyes. And that alone was enough to drain your peace. That is why comparison is so dangerous. It is quiet, and it disguises itself as something good. It comes dressed up as ambition, as I'm just trying to see where I stand, pretending it is helping you grow. But stop and think about it. Not once has it ever made you stronger. It either pushes you toward empty arrogance or drags you down. Either way, you lose, because your worth is no longer determined by you. It becomes dependent on where someone else is. And that is exactly where the truth that no one tells you lives. A mind that measures its own worth by other people's lives hands over control to strangers. Your peace becomes hostage to anyone who appears to have a more beautiful life than yours. You start craving approval that comes from the outside, something you cannot control and something that never truly arrives. It is not that you are weak. It is that no one ever showed you that you could simply walk away from this game. And you can. This race that consumes you is an illusion from beginning to end. You compare yourself to people who started from a different place, with stories you never lived, and pain they never chose to show you. You compare your inner world, filled with your fears, your exhaustion, and your struggles, to other people's outer world, the only part they chose to put on display. It is a race designed for you to lose every time, because you are competing against an edited version of a life that does not even exist. And here is what changes everything. The other person was never your competitor, never. Life is not a race where only one person wins and everyone else loses. Each person runs their own race, with a finish line that belongs only to them. Someone else's success does not take away a single ounce of yours, just as your victory takes nothing away from theirs. And the moment that truth truly sinks in, something powerful happens inside you. All the energy you spent looking sideways comes back to you. It is like putting down a weight you had been carrying without ever realizing you could let it go. Seneca said that the poor person is not the one who has little, but the one who always wants more. And that truth cuts deep. Comparison traps you in a hunger that never ends, because there will always be someone, somewhere, who has more of something. If your peace depends on being ahead, you will never rest, because the bar keeps rising forever. You can have the whole world and still feel like nothing, or you can have enough and feel complete. The difference was never in what you have, it has always been in where you choose to look. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire in the world, and even so, he looked at his own life as complete, as enough, without needing to measure it against anyone else. Think about that. The most powerful man of his time did not waste his energy comparing himself to others. So why should you? His strength never came from being greater than everyone else. It came from being fully grounded in what was his. And that is the strength waiting for you on the other side. So do this today. Bring your eyes back to your own lane. The next time you catch yourself measuring your life against someone else's, remember that you are comparing things that were never meant to be compared, and turn your attention back to where it always belonged, yourself. Your only mission is not to get ahead of anyone else. It is to become greater than the person you were yesterday. That is the only progress that matters, the only one no one can ever take away from you. The strongest mind is not the one that defeats other people. It is the one that stopped competing with them and finally began living its own life, fully and completely. Number 2, your destiny is hidden in the habits you repeat. You did not become who you are in a single day. There was no turning point, no single great decision that changed everything. The truth is quieter and far more powerful. You are the result of thousands of small repetitions that you kept making without even realizing it. Each one seemed too insignificant to matter, and that is exactly where their power lies, and yours as well. One negative thought by itself is nothing. It comes and goes. But the same thought, repeated every day for years, stops being a thought and becomes a belief. What you believe about yourself today is not something you consciously decided to believe. You repeated it. You repeated, "I can't do this. This is just who I am. That's not for me." So many times quietly that one day it stopped being a thought and became a truth you no longer question. No one handed you that belief. You built it yourself without even realizing it. And here is what that means. If you built it, you can tear it down. What repetition creates, repetition can undo. And now comes the part no one tells you. This process never stops. It is happening right now as you listen to these words. Every hour, you are casting a vote for the version of yourself you are becoming. reinforcing a pattern, strengthening a mental habit. There is no pause, there is no neutral day. The question has never been whether you are accumulating something, because you are every single day without stopping. The only question that determines your life is this: what are you accumulating? Because the same force works in both directions. The mind that spent years tearing you down is the very same mind that can be trained to hold you up. Your brain does not know the difference between a habit that destroys you and one that builds you. It simply strengthens whatever you repeat. Do you realize how powerful that is? The very mechanism that trapped you is the same one that can set you free. You do not need a new kind of strength, and you do not need to become a different person. You only need to redirect the strength you are already using every single day. Epictetus understood this with a clarity that has endured for more than 2,000 years. He taught that if you want to become excellent, make excellent choices, and make them consistently, day after day, because they accumulate. Notice the word he chose: consistently. He was not talking about one extraordinary act or one heroic effort that would save your life all at once. He was talking about repetition, about making the next right choice again and again until it stops being a choice and becomes who you are. Think about a drop of water falling onto a rock. One drop does nothing. You look at it and laugh at the idea that it could ever change anything. But the same drop, falling on the same spot over and over for long enough, can wear through the hardest rock. It was not strength. It was consistency. And that is exactly how you became the person you are today, and it is exactly how you can reshape yourself starting now. Not through the weight of one single day, but through the repeated direction of many. So look within yourself right now and be honest. What have you been repeating without realizing it? The thoughts that cross your mind when you wake up, the words you use when you talk about yourself, the small choices you keep telling yourself do not matter. None of them are neutral. Every single one is either building you up or wearing you down right now. And you do not have to change everything all at once. No one does. You only have to change the next repetition. Make the next choice in your favor, today, right now, because it is not the big decision you will make tomorrow that changes your life. It is the next drop, and that drop is in your hands. Number 3, the one thing no one can ever take away from you. Everything in your life can be taken away from you. Your money can run out, your health can fail, people can walk away, your plans can fall apart. But there is one thing that no one, under any circumstances, can take from you without your permission: who you choose to be. Your character. The person you are when no one is watching. And that is, by far, the most valuable thing you will ever possess. The problem is that the world is constantly putting it to the test. Someone treats you badly for no reason. Someone is rude, dishonest, or cruel. Someone provokes you, hoping you'll sink to their level. And in that moment, a voice inside you says, hit back, give them a taste of their own medicine, show them you're not a fool. It feels like justice, it feels like strength. But that is exactly where the greatest trap of all lies. Because when you give someone a taste of their own medicine, you think you're hurting them, but you're the one who becomes stained. It's like picking up a burning coal to throw at someone else. You might hit your target, but your own hand gets burned first. The anger you hold on to so you can strike back burns inside you long before it ever reaches anyone else. You wound yourself just to try to wound someone else. And in the end, they move on with their life, while you're left carrying the poison you mixed with your own hands. And understand this, that doesn't make you weak, it makes you rare. Because it's easy to be kind to people who are kind to you. It's easy to be honest when no one is tempting you. The hard part, and what very few people can do, is to hold on to your dignity when it would feel completely justified to let it go. To stay true to your values when the whole world gives you a reason to make an exception. That isn't naivete. It is the highest form of strength a human being can possess, mastery over yourself. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire surrounded by betrayal, envy, and people who wanted to bring him down. And even then, he wrote one of the most powerful sentences ever recorded: "The best revenge is not to become like your enemy." Think about the wisdom behind that. He understood that lowering yourself to the level of the person who hurts you isn't winning. It's losing the most precious thing you have. You do not defeat someone else's evil by becoming just like them. You defeat it by remaining whole, untouched, faithful to who you are. Think of a gardener who carefully tends a beautiful garden. He doesn't leave one little corner for weeds to grow, just a little. He knows that one moment of neglect is enough for them to spread everywhere. Your character works the same way. You cannot flirt with dishonesty just this once, or save a little room for cruelty only toward those who deserve it, without letting it spread until it contaminates every part of who you are. People who protect something valuable don't make exceptions. They protect it all the time. And here is what that gives you, the bright side of all this. A peace that nothing outside of you can shake. Because once you decide that your character is not for sale, that it does not depend on how other people treat you, you stop being a leaf carried away by the wind of other people's behavior. People will continue being who they are, rude, unfair, difficult, and that will stop controlling you. You respond from your own center instead of reacting to the worst in others. That is a kind of freedom very few people ever experience. So the next time someone tries to drag you down, remember what is truly at stake. It isn't about winning an argument, getting even, or proving anything to someone who isn't worth it. It is about protecting the most valuable thing you own. You show people who you are, not by imitating the worst in others, but by becoming the exact opposite of what you reject in them. Let other people's rudeness belong to them. And let your serenity belong to you. Guard your character the way you would guard a treasure, because that is exactly what it is. The world may take almost everything from you, but who you choose to be every single day, even in the face of the worst, has always been and always will be yours alone. Number 4, growth lives outside comfort. Today, you live with more comfort than a king did 500 years ago. It's true. Stop and think about it. Hot water comes out of the wall. Food can be ordered with a single tap. The entire world fits inside a device in your hand. Warmth when it's cold, cool air when it's hot. An emperor from the past would have considered your ordinary life an unimaginable luxury. You inherited a victory that humanity spent thousands of years fighting for. And that is something truly wonderful. But there is a hidden price that comes with all this comfort, and almost no one realizes they're paying it. When everything becomes too easy, the mind stops growing. It no longer has to push itself, so it begins to soften, just like a muscle that gradually loses its strength when it's never used. It isn't your fault. The world has been designed to hand you everything ready-made, to remove every form of discomfort from your life. But discomfort, the very thing the world is trying to eliminate, has always been the place where your strength is born. Notice something nature teaches us over and over again. A muscle grows only when it meets resistance. A tree develops deep roots because it has to withstand the wind. Gold reveals its brilliance only after passing through fire. Nothing that becomes strong ever became strong through comfort. And your mind is no different. It doesn't develop in what is easy, familiar, or automatic. It develops every time you place it in front of something it has not yet mastered. Seneca, one of the wisest men who ever lived, left behind a sentence that seems simple, yet contains a lifetime of wisdom. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. He understood that growth is not a phase. It is not something you finish and put away on a shelf. It is a way of living. The day you stop growing, something inside you quietly begins to shrink. And the best part is that the choice of which path to follow is every single day completely in your hands. Growing does not require you to revolutionize your life overnight. Seneca taught that the path to wisdom is discovering every single day just one thing that makes you better. Just one. Think about how attainable that is for anyone, in any situation. You don't need endless free time or perfect circumstances. You need one page read, one new idea, one conversation that lifts you up, one small victory over something you've been avoiding. Think about what happens when you truly live that way. One day you learn something, it seems small. The next day you learn something else, it seems small again. But multiply that by 1 year, by 5 years. You won't be just a little better, you'll be almost unrecognizable, looking back in disbelief at how far you've come without ever taking one giant leap. Because extraordinary people were not born extraordinary, they simply refused to end the day exactly the way they started it. And remember, seeking challenges is not about suffering for the sake of suffering. It is about deliberately choosing what helps you grow, instead of accepting everything that lulls you to sleep. It's picking up a book instead of scrolling through Instagram. It's having the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. It's keeping the promise you made to yourself on the very day it would be easier to give up. Every one of those choices is a small challenge that tells your mind, we didn't come here to grow soft, we came here to grow stronger. So make that your way of living, starting today. Before you go to sleep, ask yourself one simple question. What did I learn today that helped me grow? If the answer comes easily, great, you're on the right path. If it doesn't, then tomorrow you make the adjustment and actively look for something that helps you become better. Because a mind that grows a little every day becomes over time unshakable. Not because life became easier, but because you became bigger than it. And no one, ever, will be able to take away what you became along the way. Number 5, take care of what's yours. Let go of the rest. There is a weight you carry every single day without even realizing you picked it up. The weight of trying to control things that were never in your hands. What other people think about you. What they said behind your back. Traffic, long lines, the weather, the moods of the people around you, what might go wrong tomorrow. You spend an enormous amount of energy trying to hold on to all of that, and none of it has ever answered to you. And look, that is not a flaw in you. No one ever taught you the most important distinction there is, the difference between what is within your control and what is not. You were raised in a world that pushes you to worry about everything, to feel responsible for everything, to try to please everyone. So it is only natural that you feel exhausted. You are trying to carry the entire universe on your shoulders, when in reality, only a small part of it was ever yours to carry. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and therefore understood the limits of his own power better than almost anyone, taught what may be the most liberating principle in all of philosophy. He said that some things are within our control and others are not, and that all of our suffering comes from one simple confusion, trying to command what will never obey us while neglecting what actually does. Think about the magnitude of that. A man with no external freedom discovered that he was truly free simply because he stopped wasting his soul on what he could not change. Almost everything that keeps you awake at night is outside your control, and for that very reason, it was never your responsibility. You cannot control how other people feel about you. You cannot control whether they understand you, approve of you, or value you. You cannot control the past because it has already happened, or the future because it has not arrived yet. And the moment you truly realize that, something inside you begins to relax. It is not giving up, it is relief. It is the peace that comes from finally letting go of what was never yours to hold. Imagine carrying a backpack full of rocks up a steep hill, and those rocks are not even yours. They are other people's opinions, worries you inherited, all the what-ifs your mind created. Now imagine simply opening the backpack and letting everything that does not belong to you fall to the ground. You did not become weaker, you became lighter. And for the first time in a long time, your legs have the strength to keep climbing. And this is exactly where relief becomes power. Because when you stop pouring your energy into what you cannot control, that energy does not disappear. It comes back to you completely. And then you discover the other side of this truth, the side that changes everything. What is within your control is exactly what matters most. You cannot control the outcome, but you can control your effort. You cannot control what people say, but you can control the person you choose to be. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. And that part, as small as it may seem, is where all your strength lives. Think of an archer. He controls his training, his posture, his aim, his breathing, the way he releases the arrow. But the moment the arrow leaves the bow, a gust of wind may carry it off course. A wise archer does not panic because of the wind, because the wind was never his to control. He focuses entirely on what belongs to him, the perfect shot, and lets go of the rest. And it is precisely because he focuses only on what he controls that he hits the target more often than the person who spends the whole time worrying about the wind. You are that archer in your own life. Every time you take your attention away from what you cannot change and place it on your next action, your next choice, your next response, you become stronger and calmer at the same time. Because an unshakable mind is not one that controls the whole world. No one can do that. It is the one that stopped trying, and because of that, became unbeatable within the territory that truly belongs to it. So ask yourself this question today, whenever something begins to consume you. Is this within my control? If it is not, let it go, with the peace of mind that comes from knowing it was never your battle to fight. If it is, then act with everything you have, because that is where your life truly happens and nowhere else. Take care of what is yours with all your strength, and let go of the rest. It is in that simple act of separating one from the other that you stop being dragged through life and finally become the one who leads it. Number 6, a mind with direction turns any path into progress. There is a huge difference between being busy and actually going somewhere, and most people spend their entire lives confusing the two. They wake up, rush through the day, check off 1,000 tasks, finish exhausted and still feel like they have not moved forward at all. It is not because they lacked effort, it is because they lacked direction. Effort without direction does not move you forward, it only leaves you tired in the same place. Think of a ship in the middle of the ocean. If it has no destination, there is no such thing as a favorable wind. The wind may blow hard, it may even blow in the right direction, and none of it matters because the ship has no idea where it is going. That is exactly what Seneca said more than 2,000 years ago, in a sentence that feels as if it were written for today. When you do not know which port you are sailing toward, no wind is favorable. Without a destination, even good fortune passes you by because you would not know what to do with it. The modern world was designed to keep you without direction. Every screen, every app, every notification was created by brilliant people to steal the one thing that matters most, your focus. You sit down to do something that truly matters. You pick up your phone for just a second, and before you know it, an hour has disappeared into videos, comments, and other people's lives. It is not because you are weak or easily distracted. It is because your attention is competing against a system that was built to win, and no one ever told you that. But here is what changes everything. The moment you have a clear destination, that same world of distractions loses almost all of its power over you. Because every distraction stops looking harmless and starts carrying an obvious cost, one more step in the opposite direction of where you want to go. When you know where you are headed, wasted time becomes obvious, and what truly matters becomes almost impossible to ignore. Focus stops being a battle of willpower. and becomes the natural result of knowing what you are building. Seneca summed up the secret in a single sentence: decide what you truly want, and stay committed to that decision. Notice those two parts, because both of them matter. First, decide honestly what you truly want, not what other people expect from you. Then, stay committed. Do not let go of the helm the first time the wind turns against you. Most people fail at the very first step. They never stop to decide. They spend their whole lives reacting to whatever shows up, instead of choosing where they want to go. And you do not have to live that way. When you know where you want to go, you stop wasting energy on 1,000 small decisions every day, because most of them have already been made by the destination you chose. You are no longer at the mercy of your mood, passing impulses, or the latest distraction. You have a standard to guide you, and that standard is what transforms a life driven by accidents into a life driven by purpose. So today, do something that seems simple, but changes everything. Take a piece of paper and divide it into 3 sections. 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Then write down without fear what you truly want in each one, who you want to become, what you want to have built, how you want to live. It does not have to be perfect. You do not need to have all the answers. You simply need to stop drifting aimlessly and finally give your destination a name, because the moment your destination becomes clear on paper, it begins to become clear in your mind, and every day starts to have a purpose. A life without direction is carried away by circumstances, pushed from one side to the other by whatever happens. A life with direction is guided by your choices. And that is the difference between simply going through life and truly leading your life. You do not need to see the entire path all at once. You only need to know where you are going and take, today, the first step in that direction. The destination is yours. The helm has been in your hands all along. Decide where you're going, and no wind will ever be able to make you lose your way again. Number 7, never let anyone steal your peace again. Think about a day when you were feeling good, calm, at ease, and then one comment, one dirty look, one sharp reply, and suddenly your entire day turned sour. You took it home with you, replayed it in the shower, went over it again before falling asleep. One person, with just a few words, managed to hijack hours of your peace. And here is the question that changes everything. Why did you hand over so much power so easily to someone who did not even deserve a single minute of your attention? Notice something that almost no one realizes. Between what other people do and what you feel, there is a space. A small one, almost invisible, but it is there. In that space lives a decision that belongs to you alone, whether or not to accept what happened as an offense. The provocation comes from the outside, and you cannot control that. But what it becomes inside you, whether it knocks you down or rolls right off your back, has always been up to you. Someone else may throw the stone, but you are the one who decides whether to carry it around for the rest of the day. Epictetus said something that, once it truly sinks in, is genuinely freeing. The person who insults you can only hurt you if, deep down, you agree that what they said is an insult. Without your acceptance, the provocation has nowhere to land, nowhere to take root. It is like the old saying, it takes 2 to tango. No matter how determined someone is to provoke you, they need one thing that only you can give them: your consent to feel offended. And the moment you realize that this key has always been yours, the entire game changes. And that does not make you cold or insensitive. It makes you sovereign over yourself. Because most people live as if everyone else had the remote control to their emotions. Someone pushes one button and they explode. Someone else pushes another and they fall apart. They live as prisoners of other people's moods, rudeness, and opinions of anyone who happens to cross their path. What an exhausting way to live, with your peace constantly in someone else's hands. You were not born to live that way, held hostage by the worst moments of complete strangers. Marcus Aurelius, while ruling an empire surrounded by people who wanted to bring him down, wrote one of the most powerful truths ever put into words. Remove the judgment that you have been harmed, and the harm itself disappears. Think about the depth of that. He understood that the damage of an insult is not in the insult itself, it is in the judgment you make about it. If you refuse to sign your name beneath the thought, "I have been harmed," then no harm remains. The power to decide whether something has wounded you has always belonged to you, never to the person who tried to hurt you. Imagine receiving a letter filled with poison. Until you open it and accept what is inside, it is nothing more than paper. It has no power over you. An insult works the same way. It only becomes pain the moment you receive it, open it, and take it into yourself as truth. But you can simply refuse the delivery. Return it to the sender. Let the poison they prepared for you remain theirs alone, without ever contaminating your peace. What someone else said is their responsibility. What you choose to do with it is your power. And this is not about pretending it does not hurt or silently putting up with everything. It is something far stronger. It is realizing that your peace is far too valuable to be left at the mercy of people who speak without thinking, who lash out because they are hurting, who provoke you hoping for a reaction. The people who provoke you are almost always carrying pain that you cannot even see, and they want to hand some of that weight to you. You are not obligated to carry it. You can recognize where it comes from and keep moving forward, whole and unshaken, without sinking to the level of the person who tried to drag you down. The next time someone tries to steal your peace, remember that space between what happened and what you feel. Breathe inside that space and ask yourself the question that has always been yours to answer. Is this worth my peace? Almost never. Let the insult die where it was born, outside of you. Because an unshakable mind is not one that is never provoked. It is one that has finally understood that the key to its own peace has never been in anyone else's hands. It has always been, and always will be, in yours. Number 8. Your true strength is not in never falling, but in always getting back up. Have you ever had one of those days when everything went wrong? You broke a promise to yourself, gave in to the very thing you had sworn you would not give in to. And then that voice showed up, that sharp, unforgiving voice saying, "Here we go again, same old story. You're never really going to change." That voice sounds like it is trying to help you improve, but in reality, it is the biggest lie standing in the way of your growth, and today you are going to understand why. First, understand something that can lift an enormous weight off your shoulders. Falling is part of the process. It is not an exception. It is not a character flaw. It is not proof that you were not made for this. It is simply how the journey works for absolutely everyone, without exception. The people you admire, the ones who seem to have everything under control, have fallen countless times. The difference between them and the people who give up has never been the number of times they fell. It has always been how quickly they got back up. Strength was never about avoiding the fall. It has always been about returning. Now pay attention to what you do after you fall, because that is where the real problem begins. You do not just stumble, you attack yourself for stumbling. You insult yourself, shame yourself, put yourself down, replay the mistake 1,000 times just to convince yourself that you are a failure. And you do this believing that being harsh with yourself will somehow fix you, that if you punish yourself enough, you will get it right next time. But that belief, the one you have been taught your entire life, is false. No one truly learns through humiliation. At best, people obey for a while out of fear. And what is driven by fear never lasts. Think about how a child learns to walk. They stand up, take 2 steps and fall. They get back up and fall again, dozens, even hundreds of times, and no one watching thinks, "What a failure. Maybe walking just isn't for you." Quite the opposite. Every fall is seen as a natural part of learning, and the child gets back up without questioning themselves, without calling themselves names, without carrying any shame. That is exactly why they learn so quickly. Somewhere along the way, you forgot how to do that. You started treating your own setbacks like final verdicts when they were never anything more than part of the learning process. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Recover your senses, return to yourself, and once again, wake up." Notice the gentleness in those words. There is no punishment in them. No, "How could you be so weak again?" Instead, they are a gentle invitation to come back to yourself. He understood that recovery is not born from the harshness with which you treat yourself, but from the patience with which you guide yourself back. Self-compassion is not the opposite of discipline. It is what makes discipline possible. When you fall and treat yourself harshly, the shame becomes so overwhelming that you would rather quit than try again. But when you fall and respond with the steady kindness of someone who understands that setbacks are part of the journey, you can return without carrying that heavy burden. And getting back up is the only thing that truly matters. The people who forgive themselves quickly recover quickly. The people who punish themselves stay on the ground, trapped in their mistakes. And that is how one small setback turns into a lost week, and one lost week becomes a lost year. That is why the most dangerous trap has never been the fall itself. It has always been what you tell yourself afterward. One bad day does not have to become one bad week. One mistake does not erase weeks of progress unless you decide in your own mind that it does. Today's mistake is information, not a life sentence. It simply shows you where you need to adjust. You're not starting over from scratch when you get back up. You're starting again with everything you have already learned, a little wiser about what tends to knock you down. Do not drown yourself in self-criticism. Lift your head and say to yourself with the same patience you would show someone you love, "It's okay. This is part of the process. Now I'm getting back up." No drama, no punishment, no waiting until next Monday. Right now. Because every time you get back up without tearing yourself apart, you prove something to yourself that no setback can ever take away. You are stronger than any stumble, and your direction does not depend on having a perfect day. It depends only on your decision to never give up on yourself. Number 9, until you forgive, you remain trapped in the past. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. The hurt from what someone did to you. The anger toward the person who betrayed you, abandoned you, or wounded you in ways you never imagined. So often, you hold on to those feelings because you believe you are serving justice, as if staying angry somehow keeps the other person paying their debt. But the only person paying that debt every single day is you. Look at how resentment really works. The person who hurt you has moved on with their life. They are sleeping peacefully, laughing, living, often without even remembering what they did to you. And yet, years later, you are still carrying it in your heart, still reliving the moment, still allowing something from the past to steal joy from your present. Resentment is the only poison we drink while hoping someone else will die. You think you are chaining the person who hurt you, but the chains have always been wrapped around your own wrists. And understand this, because it changes everything. Forgiving does not mean saying that what happened to you was okay. It does not mean pretending it did not hurt. It does not mean opening the door for that person to come back into your life. It does not mean saying that everything is fine. You were taught that forgiveness means surrendering, giving the other person a free pass, or looking weak. The truth is exactly the opposite. Forgiveness is a decision you make for yourself, and for yourself alone. the decision to stop allowing what happened yesterday to keep hurting you today. You do not forgive for their sake. You forgive to set yourself free. Epictetus taught that all of our peace depends on one thing alone, letting go of what is outside our control. And nothing is more outside your control than the past. What happened has already happened. You can replay it in your mind for another 10 years, and it will not change a single second of what took place. Holding on to resentment is like trying to rewrite a story that has already been written, hurting yourself over and over again with every attempt. Letting go is the only thing that gives your peace back, because it is the only part that is actually within your control. Picture someone trying to cross a river while carrying an enormous boulder in their arms, the weight of everything they have held against other people. With every step, they sink deeper, barely able to move, convinced they are punishing someone else by carrying that burden. But there is no one else there. The stone belongs only to them. The weight belongs only to them. The drowning belongs only to them. Forgiveness is simply opening your arms and letting the stone fall. The water releases you, you rise back to the surface and continue your journey with a lighter heart. The one who was being hurt by that stone was never the person you wanted to punish. It was always you. And this is not only true for the people who hurt you, it is also true for the hardest kind of forgiveness of all, forgiving yourself. Because maybe the heaviest resentment you carry is not toward anyone else. Maybe it is toward yourself. For the mistakes you made, the opportunities you missed, the person you were when you did not know what you know today. You've been condemning yourself for far too long. But the person who made those mistakes was simply a younger version of you, with less experience, less awareness, doing the best they could with what they had at the time. That person does not deserve to be hated for the rest of your life. They deserve to be forgiven so that you can finally move forward. Because you are not your worst moments. You are not the mistake you made, nor the version of yourself that fills you with shame. You are the person you choose to become from this moment on, and none of that is possible while part of you remains trapped in the past, judging who you used to be. Forgiving yourself is cutting the final chain, the one that kept you tied to your own past. Only then are you truly free to build your future. And this is where everything you have learned up to this point comes together. A strong mind is not one that has never been wounded. It is one that refuses to carry those wounds forever. There is no point in learning to master your thoughts, protect your peace, and stay focused on your own path if you still allow the past, whether your own or someone else's, to pull you backward every single day. Forgiveness is what frees the mind from its final burden. It closes the last door that stands between you and complete inner freedom. Marcus Aurelius left us with one of the calmest and most powerful reminders of all. The best revenge against the person who hurt you is not to become like them. It is to move forward with a light heart, refusing to let someone else's pain become your own. So let it go. Let go of the resentment. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the stone you have been carrying for far too long. Not because the person who hurt you deserves it, but because you deserve the peace that waits on the other side. You have spent all this time learning how to master your mind. This is the final and greatest step, freeing it from the past and finally walking lightly toward everything that is still ahead of you. Life has always been waiting in front of you, and now, free from every unnecessary burden, you are ready to live it. Modern hearts deserve the calm of the ancients, and that is exactly what Stoic House is here to offer. If this message spoke to you, leave a like, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to join us on this journey.